Hey there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up and making things happen. I love creative people. I like supporting what they do because it's really hard. And sometimes when you're doing it, you're wondering, am I doing the right thing? Why? What kind of life is this? But you persevere, and sometimes it leads to something beautiful. And that's certainly the case with this next guest. His name is Juan Pablo Di Pace. He is a multi-talented person. He is an actor. You may have seen him on Fuller House. He was also in a movie called The Mattachine Family, which I featured on the podcast a year or so ago. He's also played Jesus Christ in a miniseries called AD that you can find online, available for streaming. I think it was originally on NBC. And he was in Dashing in December, one of those first gay rom-com Hallmark-type movies, which I don't know if it was on Hallmark or Netflix, but he was in one of those, and he was definitely dashing. And I'm pretty sure it was December, so no lies there. He's also a dancer. You might have seen him on Dancing with the Stars. He made it to the semifinals, and he should have gone all the way. I don't know. America clearly doesn't know who to vote for in things. Have we noticed that? So I have questions about Dancing with the Stars, of course. And he's a filmmaker. And his feature film debut, which he co-directed, is called Before We Forget. He also wrote it, and he plays a role in it. It's based on a story from his own life. It's based on his own life. When he was in high school, he was living in Argentina where he grew up, and he got a scholarship to attend this really unusual school in Italy. And being there allowed him to sort of reinvent himself. He fell in love with his best friend. Of course, at that time, you couldn't say anything, so it was something that lived inside him. And this film is his exploration of what that meant and how that time resonated throughout his life. I found it very moving, very beautifully made, reminded me of my own life in certain ways. And so I was super excited to talk to Juan Pablo about it. But before we get to that, I have a little bit of housekeeping. You may notice some ads pop up on my podcast at the beginning and the end. And maybe at one point there'll be one in the middle. It's something new I'm doing with Libsyn, the Libsyn company, that my podcast hosting company. So it's an attempt to make a little money on this thing. And hopefully it won't be too intrusive, but we're giving it a try. The other thing is I'm up for the podcast awards. Derek and Romaine, who hosts my show on their channel as well, they've won this hosting award for the LGBTQ category. So many years in a row, they can't do it anymore. So they're like, you should do it. And so they suggested I submit for it. And you can vote for me by going to podcastawards.com. There's a button that says click here to vote. You have to register or log in if you've already registered to do it. And while you're registering, make sure you click the box that says, please consider me as one of the listeners that will be randomly selected to vote for the final slate in August. That's important. And then you vote for Dennis Anyone in the following category: LGBTQIA. And then while you're there, why not vote for Romaine Patterson as best female host for the Dildo Whisperer show. So we love Romaine. And then save your nominations, and then we'll see what happens in August. They've won it a bunch of times, and they thought they would share the wealth, and so I'm going to go for it. The other thing you can do if you like this podcast is I have a Patreon and a Substack called Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. It's pop culture, it's upbeat news, it's things I've seen, pop culture picks, but also it ends with a chunk on happiness in every episode. I'm very interested in what makes people happy, what the science says, what my own experience says, tools that have helped me. And so I love talking about that stuff. And you can get that at Patreon or Substack. Just search for Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. All right. And also my website and my virtual tip jar is still there. It's DennisAnyone.net. You can even buy me a little coffee there. There's a thing called Buy Me a Coffee. So anyway, you can support the podcast. It helps, and I appreciate it. And now let's get to the interview. Here is Juan Pablo Di Pace. Joining me now from Los Angeles, it's Juan Pablo Di Pace. He is the co-director, the co-writer, one of the stars of a wonderful new movie called Before We Forget, which touched me deeply. And I've also been following him since Dancing with the Stars because I'm a diehard fan of that show. And you've been on Fuller House. You were in Mamma Mia. So, yeah, we love you, and we're happy that you're here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dennis. I love that introduction.
Well, also I say we. I don't know who I'm talking about with we, although my dog is on my bed and he does critique my interviews. We have friends in common. I'm good friends with Jack Plotnick, who you know.
Oh, my God. Yes.
And Michael Orland. So I was like going through your Instagram, And I was going through your Instagram and there was like, oh, I know that guy. Oh, that's my friend. Oh, I loved Madonna Sex Book. Like there were a lot of overlaps in our experience. So we'll get to that. I was at the Laemmle Theater here in North Hollywood last week seeing a movie and your trailer showed. And I was like, isn't that exciting? I just thought you would like that.
Oh my God. I was wondering because I was there yesterday just checking that the posters were there and everything.
Yeah.
And but I didn't go and see a movie. So I'm glad to know that you saw it. You saw the trailer. Good.
Yes. Talk to me about the storyline of Before We Forget. How would you describe that to somebody that knew nothing about the movie?
Yes. So Before We Forget is about a film director in his 40s who is frustrated because he can't really quite finish this movie that he is making in the present. And the movie is based on his first love 25 years earlier with his best friend from an international school. They met in an international school. And so really, it's an exploration about memory, about unfinished business. And we jump back and forth between the present and this director's kind of, deadline that he has to finish this thing that he can't quite finish because there's a piece of it that he can't quite, get to. And the past, which is what actually happened when these two boys met at 17 years old. And so it uses a little bit of meta-narrative in the sense that we have the present, we have the past, but we also have found footage of, VHS of what happened back then and the movie within the movie that he's making. So it sort of dances between timelines, places, and people.
I found it very sophisticated, very beautiful to look at. Like it looked expensive. Like, oh, we're in Europe. Like it's just like for I guess it's your debut feature, right? As a director, I just felt like it was such a class act. And I'm like, at the beginning, I'm like, where are we? This feels like Europe, but it doesn't feel like Rome or like Naples or something like that. And then I started to do some research, and this is a real place that you actually went to, and it sounds like you shot there and you have a long history with it. So talk to me about this place.
Yes. This place is called Duino. It's a small town in the north of Italy, close to Slovenia. And it is, like you say, a very sort of magical place it feels like it's outside of time, because every year 200 international students from all over the world descend upon this tiny town, which really has a lot of cats and older people, and then these international students in the north of Italy. The place is called the United World College. I mean, the school is the United World College. There's 18 of them in the world, and this one is the Italian one. But there's one here in New Mexico. There's one in Canada. There's one in Norway and India, and all over the world there's one. And I think I chose to start the movie there for many, many reasons. Of course, I had my own experience at the United World College, which changed my life twice. The first time by going there, by being accepted into this scholarship program to finish high school. Also, as a queer kid, I was, quite shy, and in Argentina, which is where I am from. At 17, I really desired to leave. Which then I found out is a normal experience of anyone who,
right,
is from the LGBT community. But this desire to start again from zero somewhere else,
right,
where you have no identity, no one knows who you are, you have no history. And in my case, it was in the form of winning this scholarship just to finish high school. It was as simple as that.
How long were you there?
2 years.
2 years. So like your junior and senior year, like amazing. Yeah,
exactly. And it was designed by this crazy, wonderful man called Kurt Hahn. After Second World War, he said, in order for us to stop war, we need to get our young people to connect with each other, to understand each other's cultures and each other's different ways of thinking,
right,
and to celebrate difference, how different we are. And so he created this place first in Wales, and it's called the Atlantic College. And in Wales, it was, just kids plucked from one from each country. Right now, there is about, I would say, 200 countries participate. And it's all scholarship based. So it's really, not about how much money you have to go there. I would have never been able to pay it. I come from, blue collar Argentinian family.
Right.
And it was really the gift of my life, because had I not gone there, probably today I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I wouldn't have then traveled the world and experienced so many different cultures, because it creates this seed of being curious about elsewhere, about other
people.
Yeah.
How did you find out about it to apply? How did you even know about it?
They call it education's best kept secret, which is not something that they want. They want the world to know about it. You know what? It was 1997. I was 17 years old. I just saw a little post in my school.
Wow.
In the school that I was at, high school. And it said, "Would you like to study in English in Italy?" Back in the day, this is before social media.
Yeah, no, that you just found out about things in magazines or like bulletin boards, like that. Exactly. They were like little breadcrumbs to your life.
And I knew nothing about it. I applied and I got in, and my parents didn't even know that I had applied.
Right.
And then I had to tell them, "Hey, by the way, folks, I'm going to Italy."
Yeah.
Before they could say anything, I said, "And it's fully paid."
Yeah.
So they were just happy for me, but kind of my life changed and their life changed because of this one event.
Right.
That, coming back to the film, I just love those events in life when something that feels, like the roads could have gone either this way or that way. One event literally just changes your whole life. In the movie, it's the same about going to that school and meeting Matias, this kid, arrive at this place. But also how his falling in love with Alexander, set out a whole series of, events in motion for the next 25 years.
I related to it so much because you talk about something that opened up your world. I got a job dancing on cruise ships in my early 20s. So I was working with people from Italy and Australia and Pakistan and everywhere. And I think it was profoundly transformative for me. And I also did things like I was a counselor at a music camp and I would choreograph shows and stuff like that. And there was, I had a friendship there that had the qualities of what you talk about here. And it was so visceral to me to watch your experience because the young man in the movie, Matias, played by the most spectacular actor. Let's talk about him for a second. He is so special. He is so special. His name is Santiago Madrusan?
Madrusan, yes.
Madrusan. He is so special. And it must be interesting to cast an actor to play somebody that is you or was inspired by you. Talk about finding him and how you knew it was him.
Yes, let's just. I need to acknowledge him as well because this is a kid who he was 19 when I found him, and this was his first audition, his first job. Really, it became his first movie, but actually he had never auditioned before. He's a magician by trade. So best. I remember I was a little kind of frustrated because I really wanted specifically, this kid had to, not because he was playing a version of me, but because I needed the kid to act in English, act in Spanish, he needed to dance a little bit. And yes, he had to have a similarity to me, or at least a quality that you see us side by side, you would go, oh yeah, this is the same person.
Right.
25 years earlier.
Right.
And so I was getting frustrated because, yes, I saw a lot of teenagers in Buenos Aires and wonderful, wonderful actors, but I wasn't getting that 360 that I was looking for.
Right.
Some were incredible actors, but they didn't look like me or they couldn't speak English. So then I would have had to teach them how to, speak English or whatever, and Santiago came along, and the casting director, Pablo Lapadula in Buenos Aires, was like, he looks exactly like you. And sure, he hasn't done anything before, but meet with him. And yeah, Amanda Lenker Doyle, who's the kind of international casting director, we all kind of gathered and we saw him on Zoom, and it was just like, yes, this is him. And actually the process was amazing, because I have having been an actor now for quite a bit, 25 years or so, and being on this side, and having gone to classes and having gone to schools and working with directors on sets, on theater, whatever, you kind of become a little bit, it becomes a job, right? It becomes, and when you are working with people who don't have much experience in front of a camera or in front of, a theater, there's something quite liberating for me as a director.
You rediscover it in a way. You rediscover what the thing is. You
do, but also you realize that there's a purity, people, and I love using what people have. I think it's wonderful when you see an actor transform into a new character, but I also really love it when I can pull out that thing that person has and amplify it, like really use them, right?
Right.
And so with Santiago, it was a lot like that. He also had to play very different to his own personality. He's very outgoing. He's very, he's an extrovert.
Right.
And I was an introvert at that time.
Right.
So we had to work on that, but ultimately, yes, the work he did, and he's the most beautiful crier. His crying is just like a Botticelli painting, and this movie has him crying a lot.
There is a scene in the middle of your movie in a car that is so breathtakingly beautiful, and it's not just, it captured a moment. It kind of goes on for a while, and then there's dialogue, and you're just like, geez, it's so special. Did you know on the page that this is the heart of the piece? Because it felt like that way to me. So you knew what you had to try to capture.
Yes.
I kind of couldn't believe his performance. Could you?
No, I mean,
I believed it in that I believed that it was real, but I just couldn't. It was so raw. It was so young. It so captured those feelings that I had, that you had. It was kind of cathartic, and I just kind of lost it, actually. So anyway.
Did you cry?
Oh my God. I cry at the drop of a hat, first of all. And yes, very much so. This scene, I made some notes during it. I'll bring them up, but he is, I think it's one thing to keep the secret that you're queer or gay. It's another to keep the secret that you're in love, because being gay, you can kind of hide it. If you're in love, he couldn't keep it inside anymore. And he falls apart in front of his parents. He falls apart. And it's so powerful, and your heart just breaks for it. And then what unfolds after that is really powerful as well. So, yeah, just anything you want to say about that scene. I just thought I couldn't breathe during it.
I love how you said it. How you said it's the heart of the movie, because you're right, it is. If that scene didn't work, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's a conversation between him, Matias, and his parents. If that scene didn't work, the whole movie would fall apart. And so for me, it was really, really, really important. And my co-director, Andrés Pepe Estrada, who we sort of built this whole monster together. But I remember being there. We were scrunched up in the back of a 1990 car. Right. With the camera. We know Devin Doyle, who was our cameraman and director of photography. It was the tiniest space to put, a crew to watch this really raw moment between mom, dad, and son.
Yeah.
And it was one of those miraculous things where stars align. I mean, I don't want to say this is a biographical movie, because there's so many things that I made up.
Right.
There are certain scenes that I could say, this scene is the closest that is to what actually happened in my conversation with my parents. So
Right.
when I watch it has that effect also on me. I'm like, ooh, this is so similar. It's like a bit of a portal,
Right.
It doesn't happen. Like when you imagine something, then you write it on the page, then you cast the actors, then you shoot it. There's so many elements, right, that can vary from what you have in your mind. But when that is also memory, so it's not just a piece of fiction that you wrote, but it's also something that actually happened, and you get to tell it again. It's an incredibly uncomfortable thing too. But I'm really happy that what you're saying, and that's what I saw also with audiences when I was going around festivals.
Yeah.
At that point, I could hear
it's
cry.
Like there's somebody that I'm thinking about in my past. When I look back, I'm like, it could have been one of the great loves of my life, but I didn't have the courage to deal with my own sexuality, let alone theirs. They were a little younger than me, and so nothing ever happened, which is something like, it's something that gay people might not, if they were straight, there wouldn't have been this issue. They would have been able to, one of them would have kissed the other or said something or something. But we're more, I don't know, maybe we're getting bolder, but it depends on the kid. But that could have been one of the great loves of my life. And I didn't have the courage to deal with it. And I didn't want to take responsibility for the other person. I was too afraid. And, I think when you're younger, you think you're going to get a lot of those. Oh, it's, there'll be a lot of people. I'm going to fall in love a lot and it's going to be rich. And that's not true. You don't get that many. Right? So there was something about your movie that touched me very deeply. Your parents are sensational. And it also, there's something this movie isn't preachy around acceptance, or it's not that movie, but it dramatizes the price of not letting people be who they are, what they pay. At one point, one of the characters says to Matias, your light dimmed a little bit. Like when they started not being themselves, something gets lost. And mothers are more likely to pick that up than other people. I just thought the way you threaded these ideas, it resonated so deeply with me personally. Can you talk about some of your experiences on the circuit with the film and how people are talking to you about it? Because I imagine you hear similar things from audiences.
It's the most beautiful thing, when you make something and at the beginning you're very insecure about, will people like it? Will people get it? I mean, and at some point you have to let it go, and then you watch it in a cinema with people, and it's powerful because what you're saying, I still can't quite, it's just too nice to hear. I was getting emotional myself just listening to you.
Welcome to the Dennis Anyone podcast. The logo should be tissues. It's a raw time in the world and in my life.
It's a raw time, and
that's why I think things like this are so important. That's why I like to lift up people that are doing it. So yeah.
You. No, and thank you for recognizing it. But yes, I think the Q&As always get over long because people want to kind of tell me also that what happened to them and that they had a similar experience. And it doesn't matter if they were queer, gay, or straight or whatever. It really is a movie that talks about secrets and about dealing with our own version of acceptance, be that sexual or be that whatever it is.
Right.
Because we are all somehow in the closet of something, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really lovely just to get that from the audience, to see that they see themselves somehow in it, which a filmmaker, I think that's what we want.
I wrote down something, speaking of that idea, I wrote down something about my father that I understood after watching this scene particularly. He wasn't abusive. He was a provider, but we never had a real relationship. And I wrote this down. I'm like, he couldn't regard me. He couldn't take me in the father in this movie is not like that. And, I don't know. I appreciated seeing it. Maybe we should let's skip to Dancing with the Stars before I fall apart. I'm joking. I have lots more about the movie.
This is really real.
It's very powerful because I think we think, I came out a long time ago. The gay movement's been going. Things are happening, marriage or whatever. And you get over stuff, get over the stuff. But the older I get, the more I realize the sacrifices that people pay for not being able to be themselves. Like the person that I was thinking about in this life, maybe I would have gotten together with them later and could have had something, but you can never get back that time. You can never get back that time when it was all there and it wasn't, and you weren't allowed to be. And there's a grief for it. There's a mourning for it.
Yeah.
And that comes through in the adult character that you play, which is he's nagged by this thing that happened, this love that he had, and he can't. It's not all wrapped up. It's not all wrapped up, and that's why the film that he's working on that is like something's missing. Something's wrong. When you were making this movie about the director that couldn't find the missing thing, did you have experiences like that? Like, this isn't connecting? Because your movie plays with time and space, and I could see it being kind of a Jenga thing.
Yeah, I think it's a Russian doll kind of movie.
Okay. Ooh, interesting. That might be the pull quote for this episode. I pick a.
Well, yeah, because it's like, what's inside. There's a beautiful music video by Bjork, Bachelorette, where she goes inside the different versions of the same event, and they get smaller and smaller and smaller, and that's how I see it, like a prism in a way. I wanted to answer something that you said, but I'm not.
About my father not being able to regard me?
Yeah, I mean, no. At the end of the day, you kind of want to deal with stuff, right?
Yeah.
And,
because you start to realize how they resonate in the moment. It's not about like sour grapes or vengeance or anything. You're like, oh, this has affected the way I move through the world profoundly.
Yes, exactly. That's what I wanted to get to. That I think sometimes, and it is a normal thing to LGBT people, is that, yeah, you do, you may come to accept things, and they come to accept you, and, maybe your relationship with your circle gets better or whatever. The whole it gets better of it all, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's never that easy, and it's not as simple because some things, you could say wounds, you could say like marks, stay there, and you have to deal with them, and they come with you, through your adult life. So if you don't close a chapter, if you don't sort of fix a wound when you're 17, 18, 19, whatever, it kind of walks with you throughout your adult life. And, and that's what I wanted to get to as well, is that it's not as simple as, it's not as simple as, yay, we're accepted.
Yeah, that wasn't easy, but we're all through it. And also something cannot be process.
That process is still going. Like, sort of the outside process we're still going through it. I mean, we're not there yet, even in that point. But internally, it leaves traces, and it's also beautiful that it does, because then you have to look inside, and you have to deal with stuff. We're not machines, far from it. So I wanted to talk about that subtlety of that, of those demons that we have to deal with. And they're not massive demons,
no,
but they are there.
They're there. They feel like a part of you a little bit. Like they feel like, even if you're aware of them, you feel that they're a thing. And that's very evocative in your movie. It had a little bit of Cinema Paradiso in it for me too. Mm-hmm. The older director going back, and like one of my other favorite movies. Your co-director and co-writer is a friend, is the person depicted in the movie as well, right?
Yeah.
That friendship, that relationship, even on your Instagram post, it's very sweet. Talk to me about Andrés Pepe Estrada.
Oh, I wish he was here. Andrés lives in Buenos Aires. We met when we were 13. We were both film buffs. He's the one who went to film school. He's the one who knew how to edit at age 13 with Premiere Pro and things like that. And I was the actor-performer one. And back in the day, we became very quick friends, but also became like the school's kind of videographers and filmmakers. So if there was a show in the school, we were the ones who put it up. If there was a video or something that could, had to be presented in the auditorium, whatever, we would be making it. And so, yeah, we just had a love for film early on. Then he became a really prolific, successful film editor. Argentina 1985 that went to the Oscars.
Loved it.
Golden Globe winner. He's just his body of work is incredible. And I went and became, a performing monkey, actor, singer, dancer, on that side of the camera and things, But throughout our friendship, throughout the years, we've always said, one day we have to make our movie. And that our movie was sort of a concept, but it was in 2020 that it was actually watching tapes, VHS tapes.
I love to see any VHS tape. Just seeing an image of a VHS tape with a written label, I get like a dopamine hit. Like it just reminds me of all these times, in my life, and it just like that is an image to me that is it's like the sun or something. So yeah, and it's a part of your movie.
Right, and discovering these tapes in my parents' basement, in an old machine, and I started playing them, and first of all, I found a tape that was very painful, which was when my best friend, I don't want to spoil it, but something happens in the movie where everything shifts, and it has to do with
their friend, Matias' friend,
with
Alexander.
An expulsion. Yeah. And so I saw the tapes of my own experience, what happened, and how young people are so good at, or so bad at hiding emotion,
right?
Because you feel everything so much. But at the same time, it was such a beautiful moment of pushing together to make someone feel better for something horrible that happened. So just watching that made me kind of go, oh, wait a minute, there's something here that's beyond the story itself. It's about, how much you feel when you are that young. And anyway, so I told Andrés, I said, hey, Andrés, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And he's like, ooh, yes. Because he was there.
Right.
When this event happened.
He's a character in the drama. He's part of the drama.
So basically, I get this scholarship. I go to the school. I fall in love with my best friend, not Andrés, but the one that I met there. Yes. And Andrés comes to visit me from Buenos Aires to the school, and shit hits the fan. So he was there.
He was there when the shit hit the fan. He was visiting when that all went down.
Yes.
Okay.
So to have a witness that's also a filmmaker, is incredibly crucial to this movie.
Right. You're going through this seismic thing in your emotional life, and he's walking around with a VHS.
He was there. He was running around with a VHS, filming everything. Yeah.
Amazing. When you looked at the VHS after all these years, were there moments in it that were startling? Like there is one in the movie where you're like, oh my God, I didn't remember this, or I never saw it. It spoke to you in a way. Did you have moments like, oh, I don't remember this, or something? Did you interpret it in a different way than you might have when you first saw the footage?
Oh, probably, yes. I think VHS analog has a quality, and I really wanted to explore that.
Yeah.
That is voyeuristic.
Interesting.
In the sense that it's so, I don't know if it's the quality, the grain, the whatever it is. It's something that you're not supposed to see.
Right. It feels like it feels forbidden by its very look. In a way that an iPhone video wouldn't.
Yeah. And
it feels sneaky.
Exactly. And so there were tons of moments, I guess, that I saw that I was like, oh, wow, I don't remember that feeling, but now I really do, because
it comes up again.
And,
you use the original videos at the end, right? They pop up a little bit. Just so rich. But there's a sequence where Andrés comes to visit you.
Yeah.
And you sort of don't treat him as well as you feel like you should have. You feel bad about it, and partly because he was obsessed with his other friend, right? So is that part of it true? Like that thing of like he came to visit you, and you were kind of not really as present for that as you should have been?
Yeah.
And does he remember it the same way? Like, dude, you were kind of a dick. Like, I came all this way.
Kind of. But the thing about Andres is that he's so kind as a person.
Yeah.
That he only remembers the good things.
Okay.
Some of us remember the good and the not so good, and other people are just more positive. They have an outlook in life, and I think what he remembered from that time is, oh no, I just had a great time, and yeah, it was kind of a bummer that what happened, but I went to Italy and I visited you. And then when I said, no, do you remember that I did this and this and this, and I pushed you, and then it would go, oh yeah, you're right, you did that, didn't you? So
he did remember it. Did he? Yeah. Do you think he was aware that you were in love with a friend? He didn't have that. No, it was all under the surface. As filmmakers and longtime friends, were there moments on this movie where you're like, where time felt all confusing? Like, we're doing this? Are we 13? What's happening? Like, it must have been so meaningful to have been there with your friend that loved movies with you since you were 17 or whatever.
Oh my God, it was a really special, unique experience, and unique to him and I, really, and no one else. And also then to have, by the way, I have to give props to my own mother, who is the production designer of the film. So every costume you see and every piece of art in the frame, it's thanks to her. She also plays my own mother as the older
one. Oh, yes. When you go home and you come across the VHS and stuff.
And so
she kills it. Tell your mother she crushes. And we have a 3-picture Netflix deal on the table.
Yes. She deserves it. That's another discovery. I discovered that my own mother is a brilliant actress, which was a great discovery for me. But no, she designed everything, right? So she was incredibly faithful to the time, to the pictures, to the look of the 97. The shoes, the costumes, everything. So
it felt very real. It felt unique and like, this is Europe, but it's kind of a different Europe. Like, it just felt really unique.
Well, because the United World College, yes, it's 1997, but we weren't all, coming from the same culture. We were coming from all these different cultures. So, and then you have the Scandinavians, and then you have the Argentinians. And so, yes, you're right. It was very specific to whichever each culture is bringing to the table at that particular time. Yeah. So my mom was wonderful in kind of mixing and matching all of that and making it sort of make sense.
Yeah. There's a little class distinction that comes into play when Alexander invites, you say it Matias, to go stay with his family in Sweden for the holidays, for the Christmas holidays. And it's this beautiful, are they in Italy or are they in Sweden? Where are they?
They're in Italy.
They're in Italy. So they're Italy house, like their family.
Yeah, because that's why Alexander says, he says, the reason why I wanted to come to this college is because we do have a villa 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And 2 hours away is is a place called Tapogliano. We found this beautiful Venetian villa, crazy, stunning. And we didn't really have to do much with it because just you put the camera in there and it looks amazing.
Right.
But it is Italy. And it's a Scandinavian family that basically has properties everywhere.
Right. And they're an amazing family. They're warm and wonderful and fun and specific, quirky. But you could also feel for Matias, like, what, how did I enter this world? And I'm in love with this guy. And then the sisters, there's love, like, it's a lot to process. And then your parents show up. I thought it was, just this collision of all these different things in a really interesting way. Norman Lear is one of your producers, the late, great Norman Lear. How did that happen?
Norman Lear was introduced to me by Brent Miller, who was his partner for many, many years.
Right.
And they fell in love with the script and they wanted to come on board as exec producers. And it's been wonderful to have, Norman's blessing and Brent's blessing because, he obviously his body of work is a lot about multiculturalism and different types of thinking, the difference, which I think is really super important to stressed. We are all interesting because we are different.
Right.
And Norman was wonderful also in giving me a little bit of advice. He's like, just make the movie you want to make. Don't listen to anyone, which is a really cool piece of advice.
I love that. Did he get to see it before he passed away?
Yeah, this is the last movie that he saw in a cinema.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did he say afterwards?
He loved it. He's had kind words to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was so moved that he was there. And he expresses like, I'm so proud.
Yeah. He's a hero. I love that guy. I wrote this line down. I don't remember who says it because I watched the movie like a couple weeks ago. You have balls. That's why I love you so much. Where does that happen in the movie? It was significant to me, but not enough to remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, and out of context, it's like, whoa, what?
Yeah, what? Who says that? Why did I write that down?
It's Alexander. Alexander tells Matias.
Yeah.
When he says, the word, and that's why I love you so much, which is mind blowing to Matias.
Yes, because it goes right to the gut. Like I feel like, gosh, you put us in Matias's. We feel like we're him when he says that, and also Alexander is his friend that he's in love with, but he's charismatic, he's handsome, he's like everyone loves him, and he's gregarious, and he's like, oh, and he's my best friend, and he picked me, like, and so that when he says I love you so much, it's just like, can I get that in writing? Like, can we make out now? Like, wait, stop! Did you guys all hear that? Like, it's that moment. That's why I wrote it down.
And let me just talk a little bit about Alexander, played by Oscar Morgan.
Yeah, he's great.
Morgan, who is going to be there in New York in the Q&As with me.
Nice.
Another incredible actor who exactly had the task of being a kid who you could say comes from privilege, and yet we need to love him.
Yeah.
So much. This is not just someone who has access and that's it, and he can do whatever he wants, but it's actually someone who walks that fine line of adorable, but could be annoying. It could be, someone that you don't like. And Oscar Morgan had to walk all those things. Plus he's an incredible piano player and he has charisma for days. But yeah, he worked, he helped us walk that line. There were many versions of the film before we closed it. We locked the cut. And I do remember one thing was, how can we make Alexander even more enigmatic, to walk that very, very fine line with Andrés? That was the perfect collaboration of all the takes that Oscar was able to give us, more here, less there. And also the editing process, which again, it's a puzzle.
Yeah.
But kudos to Oscar because he's so talented.
He seems like somebody that we're going to see, and like he reminded me a little of the guy from Heartstoppers. Like he had the face, and like he's just really special. But it's also that thing of like, when you feel something so palpable, you're like, they have to feel it. It can't just be me. This is too intense. It can't just be me. And that's your question the whole time. Was it just me? It can't just be me. In the movie, you reunite with the person. Did you have that experience in real life?
Yeah. I mean, we are best friends and we see each other all the time. He watched the movie probably, I don't know, I want to say he came to 5 festivals.
Nice.
Out of many that we did. And yeah, he was also a little bit of a consultant on the movie. He's very present. His sister as well. I want to keep them kind of, keep them as a secret, but they're very present.
I love it. And the young actress that plays the sister in the movie is beguiling, like beautiful and like just perfect and special and heartbreaking. It's so good.
Julia Bender, another find. This is what being a director kind of I love about it, is that you get to fall in love with actors because they are embodying whatever it is that you thought of or you had in your mind, and they bring something. And in the case of Julia, perhaps on the page, it wasn't the same exact quality. And then she brought something that completely changed the dynamic and also the character. in a way that's now its own thing. And I loved working with Julia for that reason too, because I like you say, it was beguiling. I had to see no more girls. Like the moment I saw her tape, it was like, that's her. That's it. You offer it. Just, let's go.
Let's go. Send the car over.
Yeah,
she's shooting tomorrow. I love it.
Zero doubt. It was amazing.
Yeah. How hard was this thing to get made?
Very hard.
What came together and made the difference? Like, how did you pull it off?
I don't know to this day. I really don't know. I was so blasé, innocent about how much a movie costs. So
right.
Without giving numbers, we made the movie, I think, for definitely not what I thought it would cost. And yet it cost nothing compared to what movies cost.
Right.
But I think what made it happen was calling the United World College, Valentina, who's, he's the Secretary General of the school. And I said, listen, Valentina, I would love to tell the story, but I would love to use the school to establish some shots because it's so specific. It's this Italian castle, gorgeous place, but I didn't want to bother the school and the students because it's a very, it's a bubble. You don't want to mess with what they have. And Valentina was so amazing. She said, no, you can't do establishing shots. You can come here and shoot the movie here with our students using everything that you want, as long as you involve the students. And so I was
God, that's a dream.
Yeah. So the moment she said that, for me, was the green light to make it. Because up until that point, it was like this desire to make this movie. And then when she said, no, you can use the college as your backdrop. And so we shot things that happened in real life in the actual places where they happened.
So like the talent show thing where your character Matias gets thrown up there. Did that happen to you? You got kind of thrown out to perform?
Kinda.
Yeah. That's amazing. But also
sorry, just finishing about how hard it was. This was right after COVID, or we're still masks and everything, and getting people from different countries. I want to say, Sweden, Finland, Argentina, UK, bringing all those actors into this tiny town in Italy with the permits and the things and the visas and whatever was complicated during COVID or as COVID was ending 2022. Right. But I feel like I've had angels all throughout this process. When something was about to blow up and something would happen, a person would appear that facilitated this to continue.
Right.
So it's this constant thing. But it was tough. And also the editing process was a year and a half, I want to say.
I could see that because it's complex. There's one character that jokes at the places like a Benetton ad. And at the time, that was like a reference we remember those ads where it was like a person from everywhere against a white backdrop. And it was almost like a joke. Like, oh, this is so Benetton. And now it feels like the opposite of the world. It feels like that idea of multiculturalism is under attack. And so the mission of this school, what they're doing, we need it more than ever. The world needs it. And hopefully people will see this movie and be like, I want to go to that school. I like what they're about. So I guess what I'm saying is, did you know that the mission of the place would resonate with this world that we're in now?
Yes, I do. Because I'm very aware of, not just having gone to the college as a young person, but also having lived in 5 different countries, I think, so far. And then ending up in the States for the last 12 years. Yes, I do feel like there is an ideal way that we could be, which is to be more accepting and more multicultural in general. And I'm not talking about globalized. I'm talking about celebrating how different we are and respecting how different we are.
And being curious about it, learning about it. Like at the beginning, they all have all the flags, and it's like, oh, this used to be considered a virtue to be kind of curious and interested, and like there was a childlike innocence to what you guys, like what it's like, and it just does not feel like our world anymore. It's weird. Anyway.
Yeah, I can compare it to like watching the Olympics and when you see each country coming with their flags.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, it's so emotional to see that pride in your and it is like that. And I thought, even in my tiny way in the movie, I wanted to at least hint at how beautiful it is to celebrate cultures and accents. Also accents, I've had a whole career trying to get rid of my accent or trying to play a different accent or, Americanize it more and when it was my turn to make my own movie, I'm like, no, I'm going to make a movie where people have thick accent, and they all have different ones.
Right.
And that's also the world. That is the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the Valentines on this podcast to talk about the Mattachine family.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A movie you did before that,
yes.
which I really enjoyed. But there was a scene in it that I asked them about. It was you and the leading man.
Nico.
Yeah, Nico. In a room, and I'm like, oh, this is Gay Marriage Story. It was this big fight in a room. And you remember Marriage Story with Scarlett Johansson and like that? I was like, that's what that was. And I thought you guys were amazing. And it went on a while. I guess my question is, what did it feel like Gay Marriage Story to you? Were you Adam Driver hitting walls? And Enzo, my dog, is a fan of it as well. You can hear him barking.
I remember we shot it in an actual motel close to Silver Lake. It was a really cold night, and I loved it so much because, like you say, it was almost like a one shot of a very long scene. It starts with sex, and it was a funny sex scene because it was kind of not going anywhere. It was like ow ow ow. So that in itself was hilarious, just to be playing a non-working sex scene with another guy. And then that turned into kind of having this discussion about adoption, about surrogacy, and we each had different opinions on it. So then it became a fight.
Yeah.
And after the fight, it became, are we ending us? Yeah. So it was big. It was big.
Yeah. Well, I thought you both did a great job, and just the way it was done was great. It was fun to see the footage of Argentina because I spent a little time there in 2002. I co-wrote a movie that was made there called Testosterone. And it was like, oh, those streets, that architecture. It was like, and I'm just wondering if you know anyone from the movie. Do you happen to know an actress named Selena Font? No, she's Argentinian. She was in the movie.
Maybe Andres does. Maybe Andres.
She was my favorite person in the movie. There was an actor named Leonardo Brzezicki. No, this would have been like 20 years ago. But anyway, I loved being there. I loved them. I discovered Dulce de Leche. So I went to a tango class with the crew, the crew member that I had the biggest crush on, who was straight, named Lisandro, but he took me to a tango class and I got to dance with him. So, amazing. It was amazing. Speaking of dancing, I love Dancing with the Stars. I've been a follower of it forever. You were on it. And I always fantasize about who I would want for my partner. And Cheryl Burke was one of my number ones. And she was your partner. But she's not fucking around, right? Nope. No. There was a clip from, I guess, a podcast that she did where you guys are talking about what it was like to work together. And then at the end, you're like, it's a tease, like, because you went to the semifinals and you should have made the finals, but it didn't happen. And she was like, why do you think that is? And then it cuts off. So I didn't get to see the answer. Did you?
Well, it's in the podcast.
I know. I guess I have to track that in. I can only do so much Googling.
I know.
No. You don't even have to talk about that. But what I want to know is, like, I feel like that's an intense experience that I like the people that come through it and they're like, oh, my God, I'm never going to be the same. I don't want this to end. I guess because I'm a dancer and I love that stuff, but there's an intensity to it. I'd like to watch the journey of the people. Like, you could see 1 week is like, oh, that guy wants to quit. Oh, the next week he's in love with it. Oh, look, oh my God, that samba was amazing. I find the human journey of the people really compelling. What was it like for you when you look back?
Exactly, a roller coaster. No one really prepares you what it's like to be on the inside, because you guys see the finished product, you see the dance, and you kind of see a little bit of a produced, behind the scenes.
Right.
week you're having a hard time with this or that. But really, it's that times 1,000. It's so amplified. Like how you're living it when you're inside. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's like going through this, washing machine of emotions. And you have to push through. You have to push through because every week is more learning, more different, like a new piece of choreography. But also you have to deal with the press of it and the pushing it. It's like it's almost like a political campaign that you have to do.
You're on you get on a train and then that thing barrels off.
It does not stop. And her and I, we were very serious about it. Like I could see other contestants that maybe for them it was more about, just I'm dancing a little bit.
Yeah.
And for us, it was like, no. Every week we have to make something special, unique, never seen before. I wanted to be, full disclosure, I was a dancer before. So.
Right. And some people are like you had experience. That's totally.
But I really wanted to just be as good as I could be.
Yeah.
As a dancer, I didn't really care about, the fact that sure, I was there as the celebrity. I actually wanted to be as good as her.
Yeah.
And so I would even, we even worked after hours way longer than anyone else to perfect each piece. So I have amazing memories of knowing that I did my absolute most. So it was heartbreaking to not get to the finals. But it was tough, and it was the Olympics. Yeah. And like you say, you watch the journey. That's what people go there for. And I didn't see it as a journey. I saw it as I want to show great dancing.
Yeah. I'm taking this very, very seriously. What would your freestyle have been? Because you didn't get to do your freestyle in the finale.
It would have been, it was going to be amazing. We're going to use like some Argentinian drums, and it was going to be a Ricky Martin Maria.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah. It was going to be amazing. It was going to be like a mixture of samba and salsa. It was going to be very Latin, of course.
Yes, you got to do it.
But yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah. I was looking through your Instagram. There's touchstones that we share. The Madonna sex book was a big thing for you. You write about that. Did it fall apart? Did yours fall apart? Remember the coil? The book, did it fall apart? You still have it?
Yeah, I think it's around here somewhere. No, you know what? Yes, it fell apart.
I think that's the rite of passage. That's if you that you would have been cheated if it didn't fall apart. It
fell apart, and then I lost it.
Oh,
but then I rebought it years later, and it's still inside its case.
Yes,
I haven't opened it.
Yeah.
It was definitely a rite of passage for me. It was definitely something that when I saw those pictures at the Gaiety Club with, all those amazing, beautiful people.
Yeah.
I was like, I think we need to talk.
Yeah.
with myself.
There's something's happening here. Something is happening here. Then you love George Michael, who is another touchstone of mine. Yeah, and you sometimes sing songs of his in your cabaret.
I love George Michael. If there's one man who really just had the most amazing voice and lyrics. Yeah. I mean, Michael, Madonna, and George for me are my trifecta.
The trifecta of all of it. I've watched a couple of movies in the last few months that were made around 1999, 2000, gay movies, and straight actors were playing the main guys because there weren't that many gay actors to play them. And you watch it and you're like, this is interesting, but it'd be so much better if that guy was gay. Like, whatever. So I just love that people like you exist in the world and that you're doing your thing and you're doing it in these different ways. The romantic comedies on like Hallmark and the different Netflix and things like that. What is it like right now to be an actor in this time, doing things the way you're doing them, being out and going about your career the way you're doing it?
I don't know. I can only tell you about my own experience and what's it like. Honestly, I thought the world would end.
I think there's so much fear around it for people, and I understand it. Yeah. I understand it, especially if you're like a leading man type. I get it. So it's so nice to have as a consumer and also as a gay person that wants there to be more people in the world that are out. So yeah, the fear that is real though.
Well, and also like, I think everything changed for me when I asked the most important question that anyone, all of us, I think, should ask ourselves at some point, which is, what do I want, and what do I want to say?
Yeah,
and what I want to leave behind. Right?
Yeah.
Those three questions. Especially if you're in the arts and your thing is to make things or to be in in things, and so. I asked myself that question a lot, but the moment I said, yeah, I'm not happy not being completely honest. At least, I mean, I was always honest because as an actor, you try to be as honest as you can in the character. But yeah, in terms of like playing characters, that's it. I have never suffered that whole, you're straight, you can only play this, or you're gay, you can only play this. No, I've been very lucky in the sense that I've played all kinds of characters to this day. And that's also how, you put yourself out in the world. So I don't know how the experience of another actor is, but in my experience, since the world, knew that I wasn't straight,
right?
I have not stopped playing straight people.
Right, there he goes. I think it's a thing. Like, I think it's wonderful, and I think if you're not true to yourself, then it doesn't matter how many great parts you get or how much money you get or whatever. Like, it's your life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be yourself. I think, and that's kind of one of the themes of your movie.
And also, it's great. It's great that anyone can play anything. I think it's important though. Like when you see that something could have been done better, and there was a time when gay actors couldn't play the gay roles. Now it's different, but at the same time, I always say the same thing, and I've said it also in my movie in terms of casting. The best man for the job.
Yeah.
I don't really give a flying fuck if an actor is whatever they do in bed. I don't care.
Right.
It's really what they bring to the table. So, if they are X, Y, and Z, I don't care. I just want to see the best person tell the story. And at the same time, yes, is it important for queer people to be represented and also queer people to have the jobs?
Yeah,
absolutely. So I don't think there's a clear answer in what should be done.
Right.
I just know from experience that I've been very lucky to play different kinds of
parts. Yeah.
But at the same time, as a director, I was like, I would never ask the question. And I have been asked the question before, and it was very aggressive.
Ooh.
When you're asked, what are you? Because
in a casting situation.
Absolutely. I was in a casting situation where they needed me to be gay. And if I wasn't, they were going to not cast me.
Right.
Because we are only casting gay people for this. And it was a very aggressive thing. I ended up not doing it.
Right.
Because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I said to myself when that happened to me, I will never ask that of an actor from casting. And I don't care. So...
yeah.
You don't listen to Tchaikovsky because you know who he was speaking.
No. Yeah. I've made some short films and stuff like that. And when I was auditioning, you just want the person to walk in and be the guy. And if they're the guy, you don't want to know anything else. That's him. You know what I mean? Like when it's right, you're like, that's him. And if it's a gay character and that part doesn't feel convincing, then that's a thing. But if they're the guy, it doesn't matter. That's them, right? I've had that experience. I just want to, before I wrap it up, just a couple more things. You were in Mamma Mia. When I saw that movie, I'm like, they look like they were having the most fun in the whole world. What was the most fun memory of making Mamma Mia? You show up at the end, right?
So well, I was actually throughout.
Okay, right on.
You blink and miss me.
Right. But it looked like a party. It looks like everyone was in Greece just having a great time, and they turned on the cameras.
We did. I mean, of course, a lot of planning went into it. A lot of what you see in the movie was actually shot in London, in Pinewood Studios, and especially Donna's house. Donna's
right on. Okay.
hotel.
Okay.
That was in London, and back in the day, we were we had like sunbeds that we went to, the dancers and actors, so that we would look, I mean, nowadays that was
sun-kissed. Yeah.
But we were in London, cold London, and then we did go to Greece to shoot all of the beach scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was a huge party. Christian Baranski, Meryl Streep, Colin Firth. Colin then, I ended up doing another film, as in I choreographed a tango that he did it on another film with Jessica Biel. So we became so close, and he helped me with the letter of recommendation for my green card. Like I just loved that time. It was a very unique experience also to be part of such an enormous machine. And then to see how the movie performed when it was out, that was surreal as well.
Yeah, it was just a monster hit. Amazing.
Yeah.
You played Jesus.
Yeah.
What was that like? Like, they literally put you on a cross. Like, how do you approach that? How do you think about it?
Well, it was one of the most beautiful acting experiences of my life. And it went beyond acting. It went beyond that. I had to obviously study it. I had to go and read as much as I could and talk. I did all this research, and then I realized that the research was limited.
Yeah.
And so I remember before shooting, I was given the go ahead if I wanted to go to the desert. And so I did. Spent 3 nights, not 40 nights, but 3 nights in the desert. And it was a very spiritual experience, because also I had to portray the worst part of his life. Like, we started the series with the crucifixion itself. So that was my second day of filming or something. So
the second day of filming was the crucifixion.
Yeah. So it was very intense, and I had to go in quick. But it opened up a whole, I don't want to say kind of worms. It opened up a whole beautiful chapter of my life, which is first as a Catholic, my family's Catholic, Argentinian, Italian. And then having to play Jesus was actually about going deeper into what I thought was spirituality and religion. So you could say that I became less religious by playing Jesus.
That's really interesting. I was going to ask how it changed you. So you came out of it, you felt less religious.
More spiritual.
More spiritual and less religious.
Because I had to go directly to the words.
Right.
He was speaking.
Right. You had to just focus on what's there in him and not everything
the original message of what he was saying, which wasn't about adoring him. It was about, what each of us has inside, was a huge thing that I still carry with me. I'm very, very, a spiritual person. I meditate every morning, and I will take that experience forever as one of the most important in my life.
Yeah, I would think it would be profound in some way.
It was very, very, very profound.
Do you do guided meditations, or do you just do your own thing?
No,
you do your own thing. I love it. I support that. I like a guided one. I have a few meditation crushes. Anyway,
well, it's like a reset, right? You go to the gym to be physically better.
Yeah.
You do need a reset in the morning where you don't have social media, you don't have your phone on, you just trying to not think.
Yeah.
It's a reset that I think everyone should try it.
Yeah.
Because we are running on this, we're on this merry-go-round all day long.
Yeah.
And we go to bed with it and we wake up with it, and you don't leave that merry-go-round. But meditation, just like David Lynch said, it is a place where you are abstracting yourself from that mental reality, and then you sort of go back to a more simple, more pure space.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I relate to that a lot. It's helped me as well. There's a couple more questions. There's one thing I wrote down while watching your movie near the end of it about Matias's character, which is, I just wrote this down. Gay boys are good boys. Like, we want to be good boys. We want to be good sons. We want to get along. We want to, like, not everybody, but it's a part of, I felt like it was a part of his character. I felt like it was a part of my character. I'm going to be a good boy. It'll make up for this other thing that they might not like or something. And I saw that in him. And I sort of, I guess, see it in you. I don't know you well, but just in the way you move through the world, there's like a goodness, right? That idea, does it resonate when you think about Matias and or your own life?
Well, let me see if I understand it correctly. When you say good boy, what do you mean? It's like, are you
nice, agreeable,
nice?
Friendly, not like wholesome, but like well behaved, polite.
I mean, yes, polite, yes, good, and maybe for the young Matias in the movie, yeah, when you feel like there is something off and it's your fault, then you will be trying to please, but at the same time, he had the intelligence of getting the fuck out,
yeah,
and starting again and trying to get to know himself better without a surrounding,
right?
A familiar surrounding.
Yes.
So ultimately, I think it's about courage. Really,
yeah.
I feel like yes, I try to be as good as I can, but
yeah.
I feel that I'm courageous in the sense that I'm never super comfortable.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in stepping over people. I don't believe in being an asshole. So sorry, I'm cursing a lot. Like,
no, it's okay. It's a cursing friendly zone. But like you see it in Matias, he's going there. He gets to reinvent himself. I get to be who I want. But then when his parents come back around, you could see him go back into the.
Yeah, like, but isn't that we? But isn't that
we all do it. I related to it very much.
That's what with what is it? With dynamics.
Yeah,
you could be the most, ascended person, and then you go and spend time with your family, and you become that 8-year-old.
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
So I think that's true to everybody. Is that dynamics are hard to bypass.
Yeah, and that's something that you depict beautifully in the movie. Tell people where they can see it. I know it's opening in certain cities, and certain dates. I think I have it written down here, but you may know better than me.
Yeah. So New York, we open on the 11th of July. I'll be there for some Q&As on that opening weekend. So 11th of July, Cinema Village. So get your tickets there on sale now. Same with Los Angeles, Lemley, North Hollywood on the 18th of July.
Fantastic.
And then on the 25th of July, we go wider to more cities. So if you go to the website, before we forget, movie, you can see the cities and the ticket links and everything.
Yeah. You do so many things really well. Singing, dancing, acting, making movies. How do you decide what to do next, where to go? How do you sort of channel your creativity and your passions, and how do you keep it all straight, I guess?
Well, thank you for saying that. I don't know. I see it all as a mess, as a big salad of things.
No, I know. I look at my own resume and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, if one of them had really kicked off, I would have committed, but I was always pivoting and scrambling. Anyway, I relate to the mess part of it anyway.
No, I just think it's a dance. Like, how best to describe it is a dance.
Yeah.
And it's something that happens almost like within. Sometimes you'll get a phone call, those are the most amazing phone calls. Like the one that I got for Fuller House or Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Jesus. When someone wants to work with you or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll go on that train.
Yeah.
And some other times you are pushing and pushing and pushing
yes.
for something. So when it comes to music, there were times where I really wanted to release music. So I just put everything to make these songs and music videos and whatever. And it's the same with the movie. I really needed to tell this particular story.
Yeah.
So it's a mixture of the life inviting you to do things,
yeah,
and then you also being super active in just pushing through, even sometimes in a delusional way.
Yeah, no, I relate to that.
Delusion is incredibly important because everyone will tell you, no, it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it now. Wait a few years, whatever it is, right? When you can say, screw that, I'm going to do it anyway. And now it's a good time. There's no time like right this moment.
Yeah.
It's important to have those things because I mean, I said for many years, look, for 25 years, I said, one day I want to direct a movie. And finally in 2021, I was like, now, this is the moment.
This is the moment, and it's happening. I love
so it's good to, I guess I see life as checking, crossing things off the list.
Yeah.
So maybe mortality has become more important after turning 40, where you're like, oh crap, I have all of these things left to do that I want to do, that I need to do. So I started even checking things off the list quicker, I guess.
Yeah, I have a bit of that. Like, let's just do it. Let's just do it. It's, no time like the present. So here's my final question. This movie obviously meant a lot to you. What's a moment from the creation of it, the making of it, that you'll always remember, even 30 years from now?
The family that was created during it, the fact that the most closest people to me were all somehow involved in the film, from a best friend to my folk to the college to, I felt like I was supported. And to think back at the making of it was so special. Because it was like a family that you hear a lot of things that movies are like families, but in this particular one, it was actually a family. Just pushing through together, that feeling of we're making something that matters to us, and let's just go to the finish line. When you get that feeling in a group, it's so powerful. And it's beautiful because, it's not like we're campaigning for something. It's we're making art.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will take that as, I don't know, forever as something really, really stunning.
Yeah, and once you've done it, you're like, oh, I can do stuff. It kind of empowers you for the next thing. It makes you feel like,
sure.
Okay, I did that, and that nobody said I could do that, and I guess look at it, it exists. I love the movie. I think you're really inspiring and just a nice, good person with a lot of talent in different areas, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you for coming on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed it too. You're awesome.
Thanks again to Juan Pablo Di Pace. Go see his movie before we forget. It's going to be in New York and LA and then further cities from there.
Okay, I'm jumping in here with an iPhone voice memo and a sore throat to let you know that I am set to moderate the Q&A after a screening in Los Angeles with Juan Pablo on July 19th, Saturday at the Lemley NoHo. So, yeah, come out. I think it's like the 7-ish show, 7:30, like sometime in there, the early evening show, and I'll be doing the Q&A with Juan Pablo, and you're going to love the movie, and maybe I'll see you there.
All right, so this happened. I want to get a little plug in here for two things I've seen in the last few days that both kind of knocked my socks off in different ways. I went to see the musical Parade at the Amundsen Theater, and I had seen this musical, I think in its original incarnation in Lincoln Center around the year 2000 or the late 90s. It's based on a true story of a man named Leo Frank, who was accused of a crime in Atlanta, Georgia. He's a Jewish man, and things unfold from there. And it's a story about America. It's about a lot of different things. It's about love. His wife is in the mix, and I remember that production as being quite heavy. It's a challenging subject matter, but the production at the Amundsen was very engrossing. Like, it unfolded like a mystery in a way, and they would project the real pictures of the people that the characters were playing. So it really felt like a kind of a true crime kind of story unfolding with all of these big themes on it, the beautiful music, incredible performances, really inventive staging. So it's a heavy story, but it wasn't a heavy show. I really was engrossed in it. It had humor. It had really clever ideas like, oh, they're doing that. Wow. So I highly recommend that if you're in Los Angeles, or I believe it's touring. So I know it was just in Las Vegas. So if it comes to your city, I highly recommend Parade. And the other thing I did is last night I went with some friends to see the movie Desert Hearts at the Academy Museum. It's an iconic lesbian movie from 1985. I've never seen it. I went with my lesbian friend and a couple of other friends. And it's so good, you guys. It's romantic. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting world. This professor from the East Coast has come to Nevada to get a divorce because her marriage is unhappy. And she sort of falls in love with this younger woman who is the related to the woman where the professor is staying while she waits out her divorce. I just really enjoyed it. The performances are wonderful. The fashions are kind of cool. There was lesbian line dancing in the lobby before the movie started. Actually, it wasn't just lesbian. Anyone can dance. But I like that they kind of went all out for it. And this is a movie that I've heard about forever. It's always often brought up at film festivals. They replay it sometimes, and it's really good. And Mrs. Roper, Audra Lindley, is in it. And she's a wonderful... she gives a wonderful performance in it. And I'm like, that woman looks familiar, but she doesn't look at all like Helen Roper, no moo-moos. And then at the end, I saw the credits, and I was like, oh, my God, that was Mrs. Roper. And she kind of kills it. She kind of breaks your heart a little bit. And, yeah, so Desert Hearts is the reason it's a classic. So there you go. Those are my picks, my recommendations. All right, that's enough for this week. Thank you so much for listening. I want to remind you again, go vote for me at the Podcast Awards, podcastawards.com. I want to thank Oscar Rosario for mixing the episodes. My theme music is by Mark Daniels for Placement Music. We'll catch you next time on Dennis Anyone. Bye.